Good morning. Today is Tuesday, April 8th, and this is Wake Up with KERA News. I'm Andrew Garcia. Today's weather is looking pretty pleasant with clear sunny skies and highs in the lower 70s. People recognize chest or arm pain as a sign of a heart attack, but they might miss other clues. We'll hear more about other signs of a heart attack after today's news. Southwestern Health Resources is once again in network with insurance provider Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas. The two reached an agreement only days after their contract expired. It may take weeks for the provider to update its system, but it will be honoring in-network rates in the meantime. Dallas City Council members are divided over a proposal to reduce parking minimums in some areas of the city. Advocates for the reform say the current mandate has made for wasted space that could be better developed. Yesterday's discussion was the first between council members on the issue. Dallas area megachurch Bishop T.D. Jakes recently went public about the medical emergency he suffered while delivering a sermon in November. Jakes told NBC he felt no symptoms like chest pain or numbness, so had no idea he'd had a heart attack until doctors told him later. KERA's Sam Baker talked about this with Dr. Carl Horton, a cardiologist with Texas Health Cleburne.
If you watch the video, he kind of became incoherent. Even though he may not have physically felt it himself, he did have symptoms. In the interview that I saw, the artery that was affected was the right coronary artery, which is on the backside of the heart. And sometimes where the location of the heart attack is, that kind of determines what symptoms that people will have. Sometimes people can have milder symptoms, particularly not with a very large heart attack. If they have a milder heart attack, what they call a non-STEMI, a non-ST elevation, then a lot of times they will have kind of more milder symptoms. But usually with an acute occlusion, meaning a larger heart attack, most patients will have symptoms.
What exactly did he have, do you think?
I think what happened was at that time when he kind of became incoherent during that service, he may have had an arrhythmia at the time where his heart briefly went out of rhythm, went into a ventricular arrhythmia. And then when that happens, the brain doesn't perfuse with oxygen. And so I think that's likely what happened.
So heart attacks don't present the same way each time with each person.
That is correct. And definitely, we always know that we always say women don't have the classic symptoms, but sometimes it does depend on location. A lot of times, like I described, that backside artery patients can have more symptoms of, more severe nausea or vomiting, or we have a saying in cardiology that, that indigestion, sometimes you just have indigestion, and that we say that indigestion can kill you. But rarely patients can have kind of more of like a syncopal event where, they kind of lose consciousness or pass out or black out. Or they just have jaw or neck pain. Usually now, if it's the widowmaker, what they call the widowmaker, the LAD, or one of the arteries on the side of the heart, the left circumflex artery or left main, then usually patients will have, severe symptoms. And a lot of times they have more of the classic type of, Fred Sanford, Elizabeth, I'm having the big one, severe crushing chest pain. But not all patients present that way.
Aren't there maybe signs that occur earlier that such a thing could happen or maybe is coming?
I would say sometimes patients will get a little kind of, they think back, after the event occurs, they think, oh, 2 weeks ago, I kind of did have this kind of, weird sensation that happened when I was, jogging or raking leaves or whatever. So some patients actually will have some minor signs beforehand, and they kind of notice it, but then they kind of ignore it and go about because it doesn't last or persist. But then some patients truly do have no symptoms before an acute event, and it happens out of the blue, And we don't necessarily know what always triggers that, but usually when that happens, they have acute plaque rupture. So the cholesterol plaque in the artery completely occludes, and then they have a major event.
So when you get a little sign like the type you mentioned, should you go straight to the doctor at that point, or like a lot of people would, as you say, they just dismiss it?
No, I would say usually if you're having any symptoms that's not normal for you, it's always good to get checked out. And even if your tests are negative, it doesn't show any, signs that you had an acute event, you can kind of put your mind at ease that you have been evaluated. I think what happens is a lot of patients, they don't get evaluated, or your kind of risk for atherosclerosis depends on a lot of different things. What's your risk profile? Are you diabetic, hypertensive? What's your family history? Are you a current smoker? So you have to look at all those things in terms of what your risk would be. It never hurts to get evaluated.
That was KERA's Sam Bekah talking with Dr. Carl Horton of Texas Health Cleburne. The Dallas Stars take on the Vancouver Canucks tonight at the American Airlines Center. The Rangers play Game 2 against the Cubs tonight as well. They lost last night's game 7-0. There's still a few tickets left for tonight's Hunger Games movie party at Alamo Drafthouse in Richardson. No need to keep quiet here. Hunger Games lovers can cheer on Katniss and the other tributes in this themed screening of the movie. For more information and some other fun things to do, visit kera.org/calendar. Thanks so much for listening to Wake Up with KERA News. I'm your host, Andrew Garcia. This show is produced and edited by Shardae White and Bekah Morr. For more news in your inbox, visit kera.org/wakeup. That's where you can subscribe to the Wake Up with KERA News newsletter and get good morning vibes from our colleague Catherine Hobbs. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at KERATX. Remember to drink plenty of water, stay hydrated. We'll see you tomorrow.